Um, Allow me to just give a little warning to anybody out there who is understandably very tired of hearing us talk about fighting games and rollback. In that we are going to discuss them because there was an event that happened this week. So that's going to be
That's right. Evolution.
off the off the top. So, um, if that's going to be a thing that you might want to come back after the topic is done in a little bit, if that is a problem. Cool. So, with that being said, we had a yes, Evo canceled, but somehow Sonic Fox still won.
Still, again,
Sonic Fox took home the gold at the canceled Evo 2020. Kind of amazing. Can't be stopped. He don't miss.
can't miss.
So what we actually had was the Japanese fighting game developer Roundtable took place.
Before you go on, I'm just thinking about the idea of like, well, I'm the 2019 Evo champion, and I'm also the 2020 Evo champion. And then someone's like, but there wasn't an Evo 2020. He's like, well, no one beat me.
There you go.
He's the person to beat.
He is.
No one beat.
De facto. So the round table took place. And this is definitely born from the fact that all of these announcements that would have taken place on stage at the event were then moved to the online event and were then given no place to go. So clearly they got together and said, hey, let's plan some kind of event to announce these things, you know? It was also a roundtable discussion in which they can just talk about, you know, what I was looking forward to as the state of the union of Japanese fighting game development. I was very excited for that because, you know, at the end of the day, like, oh, Wooly, you and your catchphrases. There's an FGC, but then there's the companies making the video games, and then there's the Japanese companies, and then the Western companies, and these are all different things from each other. So, seeing the Japanese companies come together to talk about what they do, when a lot of the time that's usually kept secret in a lot of cases, or just they're not very open about how they develop things and why.
It's a nice idea.
I would like to see more of it because it does actually show and underline that, like, hey man, this is a genre that like needs to sort of grow together, thrive together, and like we need to be more like transparent, and we need to talk to the people that buy these games because we're kind of this obscure thing, and that's where we're gonna stay. That's what we are. You know what I mean? It's just what it is. Those who love this thing, we're here. We're gonna grow over time, but for the most part, you got to start talking to the people that like really like your games and want to keep buying them. You know, so
I was announcing that I had dog while this thing was going on, and so people were like, "Pat, you're missing it," and I'm really torn about this event because it was a combination announcement / discussion event, which I don't think is good. I think it should have been two different things. Because when I heard, oh, Tekken's going to be there and SNK people are going to be there and so, and then I'm like, oh, and they're going to announce a new Guilty Gear character, I think what might have been a reasonable assumption is that like everybody would have had something to show as well as have a discussion. But that was not the case.
I disagree. I disagree with that. I think it's fine. I mean, whatever announcements there are to show will be, hey, look, cool news, you know? Like the people that were there did pretty much have for the most part, announcements. Not everybody had announcements on everything, and they got, SNK got a little bit thrown under the bus for the KOF
said,
stuff.
"Hey guys, the game's on sale."
Yeah. So, I think though that no, it is a good start for something that should happen way more often, with or without an Evo, and there were some definitely glaring issues that I think the chat at the time made very clear.
They're pulling questions off Twitter, right?
I don't know. I don't think so, but I'm not sure. I do know for a fact that at least on the translated stream that Bandai was running, there was nothing but people calling for rollback the entire time. That was it. That was the entirety of the stream.
It's literally the only thing that community wants to talk about.
It's the most important thing, so it makes perfect sense. And the biggest problem, to just get it out of the way with this entire event, is that essentially there was just not enough said about it, right? I think not every company is willing to start bringing it up if they can't confirm anything. Mm-hmm. There's a bit of a weird, we saw it with Guilty Gear, where they kind of went hey, yeah, we're talking about it now, we're having a discussion internally, but they're kind of hesitant to even broach the subject unless they think they'll have perhaps some positive news. But I think,
yeah, because they had this weird problem of well, if everybody wants it but we don't have the thing to do it, and we talk about maybe doing it and then don't do it, everyone's gonna be mad.
Horrible bad look. So that's why they're kind of playing it safe. They're we're a company and we don't want to have that happen when we're trying to sell the product. But as explained, it's such a serious problem because, Reggie bought a copy of Grand Blue and he couldn't get a decent match with a dude that lives in Montreal. He tried to play.
Yeah, that's why I didn't buy Grand Blue. That game looks great.
It looks incredible.
That game looks great.
So we're in a situation where online matters more than ever, and the combination, had this discussion with Fizzy, talking about his rollback melee stuff with Slippy earlier this week, and it was Thursday night, and then the next day on Friday there was this event. So it was just a perfect look at how it can be done, and then here's where they're not doing it type of thing. So that was all the people wanted to hear about. And in regards to that, what we have is pretty much Tekken announcing that there's a new season coming and they will be improving their online experience. Harada has said that Tekken already runs on rollback, and that essentially they're going to be trying to make it run better, is what he's announced alongside the new content for the new season.
Dropped a fucking bomb on me, and I'm sure many others.
Yeah, so what we're going to work, there's a lot of takeaways from this, right? Because there's the first portion of the stream where they basically discussed things, and then the second portion where they announced things. So, just wanted to get the rollback discussion out of the way there for a second. But the first part of the talk was, to me, way more interesting and what I wanted to see more of, because it is what I think matters most for longevity to this genre. And I was happy to see that some other folks online were watching at the time were in agreement. Esteban was similarly echoing the sentiment that look, man, new products are cool and everyone likes to get hype, and hey, check it out, Nago Ryuki, that's fucking sick, looks great, can't wait,
cool,
looks really cool. The discussion about what you're doing with these games, especially in a situation where we can't play them locally, is so much more important. And
I mean,
these hype drops,
you're not going to be able to have locals for a long time,
a very long time. The hype drops, not to be that guy, but it's the hype drops will be fucking smothered if you can't play these characters against people. It's just that simple. So no matter what is awesome and dropped in terms of just trailer hype and shit, this is the discussion about how we're gonna move forward and what you're gonna do with your games and what you're prioritizing is what I'm way more interested in. And it's going to hopefully continue. But they started out by talking about a couple different like random things here and there. One thing that came up was they were talking about AI and single player challenge, and it kind of like definitely exactly it is a facepalm like kind of moment where you're like,
To those
well,
of you who couldn't hear it, I just did like a very genuine, but it
SMH.
almost looked like I was playing it up face palm. It's just
Yeah.
like
This is
Netcode needs geniuses to do rollback, but let's try and create artificial intelligence that's smart enough to mimic humans.
and we've seen games go further with this in terms of like Killer Instinct has its shadows, and there's ghosts in Samurai Showdown and stuff, but like there's a thought that like that might somehow like I don't know like solve some kind of missing thing, when it's like, no, human beings are clearly the point of this. Don't get it twisted. You're not going to solve the problem by making the computer better.
Made a really good AI that you can play during like the times when like your internet is out. It's like, well, what about when my internet is in and it sucks? Well, why would your internet sucks?
So it's not just it's a topic that you can certainly get into, and AI does need to exist because there does need to be a computer difficulty that is there, and you can talk about improving it however you want, but that's gravy. It's not that it has no place. It's just it's nowhere near as important as nowhere near as important as playing against human opponents. So they talked about that for a little bit, and then they talked about something I thought was very interesting, the difference between like character usage versus character popularity, and how there are many examples, and they can look at their metrics on their games and see that like there are characters that are very popular. They get announced and they have huge engagement and lots of traction online, but no one's actually playing as them, right? And sometimes there are people that are essentially are like, people love that character as a part of this world or this story, this lore, this aesthetic, but they have no interest in actually playing as them, or they'll kind of just like give up or fly towards someone that might be easier to use or something like that. That is definitely a thing that exists. And they kind of just talked about how like they'll see sometimes like really sharp discrepancies, and it's like, which of these two things is going to sell product, and which of these two things is going to make the product better?
Like, no one's ever gonna fucking buy a game because Blanca's in it, because they have a heartfelt love of Blanca, but they'll play.
I agree with that.
His style is a very like, I don't know how I would. I mean, you're the Blanca player. You would be able to describe his style better than me. But like, he's got a very unique play style.
Yeah,
I play that.
I mean, as a kid, I leaned into Blanca because of his style more than the character originally.
Yeah, he's a fucking stupid green freak beast.
Yeah, it's fine, but that definitely is the case. And then things kind of changed as I got more into the genre. But
then you get into a fighting game to play Nero, and then you don't end up using Nero anymore.
Or hey, how about like no Mai, no buy, right? And then Mai's in the game. Like who?
Fat titties.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like no Mai, no buy. Okay, Mai's in the game now. Do you know how to use her? No. Have you ever bothered? No. Okay. Well, hey, thanks for the support though. That's really cool. You check out the model. You do the crouching heavy kick, and then you're like, yeah, nice.
And you're done.
Mai's fucking sick. She's got multiple air options that I love. So, I legitimately throw her on my team when I play a KOF. But I am, but that was one topic that came up, that was pretty interesting. And it kind of got me thinking back to like, like there's definitely instances you see, she's one of them. Baiken is a very big one of them up there too. And it's funny discovering how much Baiken kind of represents a, like again, guilty. There's a internal sort of like almost like an RCAPA thing of just like, man, fucking Biken players, you don't play Guilty Gear, you're just a fraud, you're a scrub that likes Biken, and that's about it. You know, it's like, that is a hard call out. That is a hard call out, and you know, I legitimately do love the character and play as them. You know, but I'm also someone who, like I said, I'm like, I will learn to play and suffer if the character, whatever they may be, you know, if there's an easier pick, I'll still go with like the one I love, you know.
They'll give you a top tier eventually, buddy.
Or hey, sometimes they get patched up. Kotal Khan is pretty good now. Kotal Khan got really good.
We'll still always know that he's a bitch.
Kotal wheelie legs no feely Khan.
Apparently he gets jobbed out in the DLC as well.
I believe it. Because, you know, I got some tweets of people going, can't wait for you to see what happens to Kotal in the new thing. And I'm like, yeah, all right, well, I get it. So they talked about that. And then, yeah, they dropped some really, really sobering stats. Because shocking is the wrong word to use. You got to just accept things for what they are these days. But it was quite funny to see Harada say 50% of over 50% of players use Wi-Fi. That's the data they got, and
that data is not the case in Japan and on PC, but
console players, yeah,
but worldwide,
and just seeing Justin Wong being like, holy shit, what the fuck is wrong with half of you? And Flo is like, wait, what? 50% of you are assholes? It was,
it's like, no wonder the average match is so bad. No fucking wonder.
Over half. You know, and I would assume that that's all Christmas treat at the bottom, and that the sooner you make it out of the Wi-Fi cesspool, the sooner you'll get some better games with people that are connected.
Well, Tekken is going to be adding an option to say, get out of my face, Wi-Fi player.
Well, there you go.
I mean, I am interested to seeing how that plays out, because my ideal scenario is that means that if a lot of people that care, which I'm going to assume are most of the people who have Ethernet cables, turn that on, that means the average quality of the people using Wi-Fi, the average quality of their games will become 50% worse. By default.
It'll go worse, but just to fill you in, MK11 has been doing this. MK11 has a Wi-Fi and a wireless indicator on your matches,
but
before
they have don't match me up with Wi-Fi people.
No, it's not a filter. It's just an indicator, and you can decline the match.
Okay.
Skullgirls, same thing.
Because like the ideal is that because Wi-Fi, essentially, their Wi-Fi people are being sent to Wi-Fi jail.
Mm-hmm.
If they really like the game, they'll go, God damn it. Having to play with these Wi-Fi people in this fucking Wi-Fi gulag is the worst.
Now here's the thing too as well. Like these, there's lots of walls you can put up in terms of like trying to ensure that you get great matches, and because you're playing with oftentimes not great netcode, it feels like you kind of have to do these things. But you will have a much harder time if you set yourself to so wired only plus same region only plus no crossplay, right? In cases you can put up these different things to be like, kind of like narrow the pool down, narrow the pool down.
And browse Twitter for 25 minutes as they find you a match.
Right. Or we can just put the fucking rollback in, and then it does, and then you match up with somebody,
and then you can just play most people in most situations, and even with packet loss off a Wi-Fi connection, it'll be adjusted, and it's better for everybody.
Yeah. So
like to Harada's credit, like his statements on it are the very first time that like from a dev. Like, it feels like he's looking at it and we actually get to see the moment of like, oh wow, this shit sucks. Like from the point of ignorance to the point of like realization.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's quite rare. Like we that happened at some point at Arc System Works. But we didn't see it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, actually, I did see it at Arc Revo when they were running the event, and they had the shit, what's the word? The feedback survey. They had the survey that you'd fill out, and I saw that, and I sat down with Daisuke, and I was like, yo, so what's going on? And like we saw it happen. Like they were directly like, oh yeah, this is a thing, in Tekken's case, again, it's a bit more, it's different because it's not like Street Fighter where they're like, oh, we did it already, we just did it badly. Well, it is kind of like that actually, because Tekken, he's like saying, no, we do have rollback, it is there. And it's like, so then what are the problems we're running into? And it's like, it's probably not as optimized as it could be, and I think it's a bit confusing to the situation too, because if I'm not 100% certain on this, but if I understand correctly, it might be that it uses a hybrid, because there are hybrid forms of delay mixed with rollback that you can have, and Code Mystics kind of had an explanation of this system and how they use a mixture of both in certain cases, Sorry, what is... I'm sorry, okay.
Breaking news or what?
No, I just got a little bit confused by everyone saying 3. Tekken is 3. Anyway, so just to say that, the plan there is to improve it, and hopefully we'll see whatever that means in the form of the next season, and then it'll be a netcode fix for that game. Maybe we'll see. He seems to be pretty adamant about what he's saying on that. Fexel just came out and said, "Hey, we have rollback now."
Yeah, I there was a weird moment like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, with one of the devs of Fexel finding out that the game had been pirated and announcing on Twitter that he was like thinking about giving up improving the netcode because I don't even care anymore. And then everyone was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And he backed down within like 2 hours. But apparently Fexel has netcode now that is actually worth a damn. And they're working on crossplay right now.
At the end of the day, you're looking at one dev having a weird fucking fit on Twitter, but it's still a game with a team of people working on it, and Akira Nishitani was there in the roundtable.
Well, I thought rollback was you have to bring in one genius that can do your rollback for you. Where does that quote come from?
Which
we would need a rollback genius to fix our netcode. I remember that specific phrasing coming up with one of the Japanese devs.
Would
need a genius.
Was it Capcom? Street Fighter 5? Might have been. Yeah, okay. Perhaps. I know that when we talked about it with the Keats video, and then again with Slippy, it was definitely something that, it becomes clear that, like, if you're doing this, you want to be doing it from early on in development. It helps a lot more to do it early on in than it does to have to retrofit
the Arc's comment about a super programmer that I'm thinking of.
Okay.
We would need a super programmer to add it in now or something like that.
Yeah, so that's kind of what they talked about. They talked about the character usage. They went into that stuff. We talked about the 50%, and then they kind of just started rolling into kind of like announcements and just kind of like more wacky stuff. Harada was throwing up pictures at one point. He put Oatmeal-san up on the screen, and like it was right around they announced the new Dead or Alive character, and right as they were announcing Dead or Alive, Harada's screen just turns into a picture of Itagaki. So
That's pretty funny.
It's kind of funny because they're both now the big sunglasses men of the FGC. Itagaki, though, his picture, being popping up, and I see it was pretty great to see people in the chat just going oatmeal son. But Harada then revealed that the reason why he wears sunglasses is because Capcom told him to during Cross Tekken, because he was the bad guy.
That's awesome.
They told him to start wearing shades to be the bad guy and
he was like, "Fuck yeah!"
Yeah, and he just never stopped. So
and that's what leads down to like the "Don't ask me for shit" shirt and the continued weird heel turn.
Mm-hmm. You got to lean into it. You build a character where there was none. That was all Capcom's doing.
That's really funny because for all that I've heard, Harada's actually a really nice guy.
Seems to be.
And Yoshinori Ono is maybe not.
Seems to be. But in terms of your public persona, his was created for the marketing of Cross Tekken. So, turns out Tekken was not the bad guy in that situation, however.
Turns out.
So we then got the announcement. It came at the end, but it was pretty much what everyone was pretty excited for. Leo Whitefang returns, and Nago Ryuki. What's up?
I didn't expect Leo to come back.
Yeah, I did. He's pretty important. And not only that, but like he's the Maximilian insert to my Nago Ryuki. So that shit is cool. And he is. It looks like Leo's got a command grab, so that's pretty wild. Nago Ryuki's move list seems pretty fucking sick. Just big sword swings.
I have an explanation for the Tekken 3 thing. Tekken is 3. It's a comment about from Harada.
No, I know. Yeah. It's a meme.
They want to increase the amount of rollback, but it freaks out the 3D animation.
Mm-hmm. Tekken is 3 is a tweet that it's a tweet meme.
That makes sense because you don't want Jin's kick to come back towards his body.
So shout outs to Dipod. He had a really he had an observation that I was like, I agree with that, which is he said like Nago Ryuki looks like the way you think Baiken would play. And it's like, yeah, that's true. You'd think a straightforward sword swinger would be what she is, but she's not. She's anything
a weird
but.
lady.
Kind of like Yoshimitsu's not a straightforward sword swinger either, right?
Oh, Yoshi's the weirdest.
But he is not only your big weeaboo black samurai man with the cool mask. He is apparently he is a vampire, and he has some big Slayer references in his moves.
Great.
So he's doing the Slayer teleports, and he has the bite.
That's crazy because vampires in Guilty Gear are straight busted.
I mean, yeah. They come from beyond. They should be.
Yeah.
And they're like I'm definitely I think it's cool to show a bit more of that because, like Slayer's pretty much just like he exists as this like super OP god in the world, and he's got
famous, just lounging
around, right? And he's got Sharon, and they just are like they're just above everything, and you're like, what's going on with your people and your world and your origins? And he's like, we come from over there, and everybody else has gone back over there, but I'm still hanging around here. And you're like,
you got staying cool and stuff.
So you want to see more of like the connections to.
I always
to that.
loved Slayer is so far above the rest of the cast in Guilty Gear that in one of the GGXX endings, like Eddie tries to eat Sharon, the woman that
his wife.
Slayer bites in his intro,
yeah,
and explodes with light and instantly kills Eddie like he's nothing.
It's like, what the fuck do you think you're doing? Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Like, oh,
for sure.
Okay.
Like no, like he's in fact just like he's a pretty like great bored god kind of like role that he serves in a way, but at the same time it's like he can't be touched except for when fucking Bedman shows up, because apparently Bedman can actually challenge him.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Bedman of all people.
Bedman is that strong. And like they fucking have a revenge battle because Bedman smokes him the first time they fight, and then he gets all fired up, and then he's like, oh, okay, I'm into this now. Like, when's the last time a human had stood a chance, And they're getting all into it, and like Bedman's like, okay, I guess I'll take this seriously, and he literally pulls an anime style. I guess you have allowed. I will. What is it? It's like he pulls a like. I will now grace you with 8% of my power.
Shut
Revenge.
Up. Shut up, anime. Shut up.
Yeah. So anyway, Slayer's rad. Vampires are rad. I'd like to find out more about that. Bedman is just like stupid busted OP mystery like character who is like, it's the kind of character you don't want to be busted because he's so annoying.
Yeah, so stupid.
But he gets away with it, which is very Nui from Kill la Kill. Mm-hmm. Right? Where you're just like, oh, you're the worst person to actually be OP because you're just a fucking humongous asshole to deal with, But anyway, so Nagaryuki.
He is the worst.
Looks very cool. I'm interested in seeing what he's going to be. I want to hear his voice. Want to learn the lore. And man, that mask is so fucking cool. And I can say that like we already have. There's like I've seen a lot of Instagram accounts of like these cool kind of like Japanese tech fashion designers that are kind of making stuff like that. They're making cyberpunk wear now. And there's a bunch of them, and like some of them have like those fans that have 3D like light displays on them, and others are doing like transforming masks and stuff. But we're getting there. We're getting close to a world where you can actually get a cool Oni mask like he wears, and a matching outfit for it. And I'm all about that.
I want to be a robot.
So yeah, there's that.
Robot now, please.
Hey, Leo's got the Leon jacket. That's nice. He's got
his look is so much more casual. I like
everyone's casual. Casual king. It's pretty dope. So it was a nice little back-to-back because we were waiting on information for a while. And when I was at Arc Revo, shout outs to Zotbuster, because I was like getting some stuff. I got the soundtrack and then like the shirts, and I was like, oh, and give me one of those pins of the new guy. And so he's like, okay, cool. So he's talking to one of the people behind the scenes. He's like, yeah, give me one of those pins, give me this, and he's like, I almost said the name. He's like, give me a biking pin and one of motherfucker, and I'm like, So they knew way back when, and finally we have information now. So that's cool.
When's that coming out?
Spring 2021.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's still a long ways away.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Fighting
yes,
games don't come out in spring,
and that is where I obtained I got the Guilty Gear vinyl that Daisuke signed, which is pretty rad, which now sits comfortably on my wall, as you do, because that's a nice place to put them.
Oh, did you see that clip?
I sure did.
See the
I sure did. Fantastic.
That's a really good example of what I was talking about, where that game's writing just is great.
It's beautiful. Beautiful. Because I was literally, like, as I'm watching it, and I'm just like, I don't see why it's so hard to understand that it's like putting a poster on your wall, except I want to take up less space than a poster. That's the end. Yeah. That's literally it. It's just, oh, look, it's the things I like, but I can take up less space because my walls don't have enough. I don't want to put up a bunch of posters that are going to take up too much room. And then within seconds, the game is like, you fucking douche.
Can't you even enjoy anything?
Oh, wow.
Oh.
That was great. Yeah. Nice counter. Talking about Deadly Premonition, by the way, it was a little conversation clip that happened in that game. Arc Revo 2020 online, set for October. Dragon Ball Fighter Z is going to have some new announcements in August. Setsuka coming to Soul Calibur 4, and Sam Show Season Pass 3 announced, which is like, hey, cool, sure. They're adding in characters from, I think, like, mobile games now, like a Tencent thing, and that's not surprising considering, you know, SNK is like mostly owned now by I forgot, it wasn't Tencent, it was that other it was another Chinese development company, but a production company rather, and so they got those guest characters showing up, and you know, sure, that's like whatever. I think right now the Sam Show community is trying to figure out if they can use Parsec to play online, because that would be preferable.
The fuck is Parsec?
Ooh, okay. So Parsec is what I'm going to be doing on Get Into Fighting Games from now on. And essentially, it is a pretty cool, like, screen share. Huh. And what it does is you just connect to someone else's computer, and you can give whoever connects to your computer access to a device. By default, mouse is disabled, keyboard disabled, but you can set game controller 2 to be screen shared with the person you're connected to. And then they come in, and you're going to play locally, and their inputs are going to be registered on your system, and then you're going to screen share with them, and it'll be the next best thing to. So
the idea is that the netcode for Parsec is probably better than the actual netcode for Sam Show.
Exactly, and
that's kind of depressing.
And basically, it is not like it's definitely, you know, it's a screen share, so you're not getting some kind of rollback based like fucking precision, but you're getting better delay than in some cases the actual game can afford. So
that's embarrassing.
Yeah. So certain games are like, yo, you want to play Marvel 3? Yeah, let's just do it on Parsec. Like, might as well. It'll be a better experience. It's not perfect, but it does like work. And in cases where the netcode is awful, this will do. Fightcade is obviously a thing, but Fightcade only works with games that run on Fightcade, you know? So the other thing about Parsec that is extra nice for Get Into Fighting Games specifically is the part where if the audience wants to play a game that I'm playing and they don't own it, you can just still connect to me while the show is on. All you need is a controller or stick plugged into your computer, and you're going to be second player while I'm playing online.
Cool.
Yeah. So you can try out games you don't own that I'm playing locally with me, and see if you like it, you know? So that's what we're going to be doing when possible. And I like that a lot. I like the idea of like allowing people that like might not even have picked the game up to just plug your controller in, click the button, and jump into a match with me to try out and see what they like and see if they enjoy it, you know? So this is where Get Into Fighting Games is going. And Parsec, we used it. I already tested it out a little bit with some other stuff, and it's worked. You know,
At least until better solutions arise, anyway.
Yeah, I had 2 people connect, and I watched the match. I was as the third party while they both connected from their locations to my system, and they were able to play. It's net play. You know what I mean? Felt like net play, but yeah, this is a potential solution that's going to work for games that really, really need it, and for games that don't have any multiplayer at all.
Yeah, games that don't have shit.
That works too. You know? Damn, Woolie, always talking about fighting games, but is trash at fighting games. Yes, exactly. That's the fun.
Welcome.
We're all trash, and we're trying to get better, but they're really fun regardless. That's the whole point. That's why it's great.
I'm not trash. I'm super good.
It's a journey, and you get beat, and then you try to get better because something beats you, and you're like, oh my god, I can overcome that. And when you do overcome that, it fucking rules. It's the best. It's such a good feeling.
I'm great. I'm the Evo 2020 champion because no one beat me.
Like, congratulations. You've discovered what makes these games so fun. So, yeah, they had that. Setsuka's back. Patroklos is not.
Oh, well.
What are you gonna what? What are you gonna what? You know, they tried. People didn't want it. They brought back Setsuka.
Setsuka's way better than Patroklos.
She's pretty fucking cool. Just on design, like, she wins out. And it makes more sense for her to have a hidden blade than it does, you know, this big gallant knight type character. So, and that's pretty much the announcements, you know?
Yeah. It was okay. I think Harada's comments were by far the most interesting thing out of the whole thing.
His trolling was pretty funny as well, but I think the fact that Rollback was, for the most part, ignored was painful. I want more of that first hour of, like, in-depth discussion, and, like, you know, it would be a great opportunity to make a lot of people happy that are, like, waiting and ready to support your games. And
I don't know, man. Would you rather it be ignored, or would you rather have someone look at the camera going, "We're not going to do it. We think it's stupid"?
I'll take that.
Okay.
I'll take that, because at least you fucking said it. You know, at least it's not this weird thing of like, "Can you hear me though?" And it's like, I don't.
What?
You know? Yeah.
More DLC costumes.
You see the the ambassador from China reacting to footage of things he shouldn't be seeing?
Oh,
what?
yeah.
What am I looking at? What?
I can't see it.
I don't understand. Rollback. We're talking about rollback. What? Huh? Just, you know.
Where am I?
I'll take the acknowledgement. I will. Shit, there was one other thought in that direction too. Yes, the thought that, like, you know, make no mistake, there are still here's a plethora of Western developed games with great netcode for you to play that you can play, but
tons of genres. Also.
And we know these are out there, and those are great, and they deserve the support. But that's, unfortunately, it's not the same discussion. You know, it's like,
yeah, I think the best way that I saw people phrasing it is that whenever the rollback conversation comes up, when people go, hey, is KOF going to get rollback? The chime in from people who are like, Skullgirls and KI and have rollback. It's like, yeah, everyone knows that. I'm asking whether or not Tekken will get decent rollback.
Yeah.
I'm trying to push it forward onto Tekken. And then when Tekken has it, I'll try and push it forward onto KOF.
I think that was Buttons specifically. Yeah,
it was Buttons.
So it's a separate discussion. There are some games that currently are great that do have it. We want these games that we love to also get it too. And that is the state of Japanese fighting games.
It sucks, but it could get better.
Now more than ever is when it needs to happen. And yes,
it's always the same thing. Hey, you guys had like a decade to improve this. Why didn't you do it? Didn't feel like it.
Here's a black character with dreads. I'll take it. I'll take it.